What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Sanabul Battleforged MMA Sparring Gloves. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today I have a pair of MMA sparring gloves by Sanabul for you. These are the Battleforged Sanabul MMA Sparring Gloves. I'm really excited to do this review because we are continuing our Sanabul mini marathon. Long story short, back in September, I unboxed the entire Sanabul MMA Sparring Glove lineup. I bought them off Amazon on their Prime Day sale, and I actually unboxed these. And ever since, I've been reviewing a ton of different Sanabul products that have been requested on the channel for some time. And because Sanabul's so heavily requested, I said we'd have fun. Never done it before. Never had that many products by one brand, honestly, in a row like that, and just review them all in a row so they're all out there for you. Then we can start mixing it up again. So I hope you've been enjoying the marathon. But with that said, these are one of their more popular MMA sparring gloves. These are their intermediate / pro level sparring gloves. These are the Battleforged, and I love the name of that. I did the Muay Thai sparring glove that was actually sent to me by Sanabul. I bought these, but either way, disclaimer ahead of time, just because stuff is sent to me doesn't mean I get paid for it. Trust me, I can show you my bank statement. I'm broke. I don't make money from this stuff. I wish I did, nor does Sanabul sponsor me in any way. They're just cool people that want honest reviews, that's all. And I also feel like it's because I'm a professional MMA fighter too. But trust me, they don't need my work for it. They got Alex Pajeda, Max Holloway, and Sugar Sean O'Malley. Need I say more? But basically, when it comes to these gloves, the Battleforged is something that they released. I want to say Sanabul, when they came out in like 2013-14, I want to say they started releasing the Battleforged stuff when I was like a freshman or sophomore in college. So I was maybe 19 or 20. So they've been out for at least 5 years, 6 years, the Battleforged lineup. And this is actually my second pair of Battleforged MMA sparring gloves. Because when I first bought the original ones, they were super tight on my hands. They didn't feel that good, and I basically gave them to a teammate that could have used them more than I could, and he enjoyed using them until they basically fell apart after, like, yeah, he had those things for like 4 years, so yeah, that sounds right. So I got them around the time they came out, but apparently they made improvements to these because these feel entirely different from the original that I got. So with that said, let's go ahead and go into the review and talk about these gloves. These are the Sanabul Battleforged MMA Sparring Gloves. They also have shin guards, headgear, boxing gloves, well, the Muay Thai gloves I reviewed, and then they also have regular MMA style gloves, like the fight glove style in the Battleforged, if you want to look at the Battleforged lineup. But talking about the model that I have, guys, I got them in the black coloration. You can get them in white and brown. The black looks really cool, and you can hardly tell that there's even a Sanabul logo there in the corner, because that's basically all it is. It's one solid color. It's a stripped down design is what they call it. And then on top of it, I got them in the L/XL size. Most of their gloves have the L/XL, small/medium size. I would say it this way: if your hands, if you think are small, get the small/medium. And then if you have bigger hands, get the large/extra large. I have pretty large hands, and these fit me just fine. They used to be super tight, but now the new model is actually pretty good on my hands, so I like that. And then on top of it, also, because they're an MMA glove, and as every MMA glove, in my opinion, should be, Velcro closure, no lace-up available, so that's fine. So you got 3 different colors: brown, white, and black. And then you also have 2 different sizes to pick from. So when we go into the look of the glove, as you can see, this thing is as midnight black can get. It is a nice, shiny, stripped down black, which is really cool. The whole back of the punch surface is all black, and you have a Sanabul logo that's actually embossed into the engineered leather on the back. When we turn it around, the piping is all black as well. You come down here to the fingers. You also have black piping around the fingertips and the outlets, and then you also, or inlets rather, and then you also have black piping going at the bottom of the finger laces here. I can't say inlets. And then we also have here, the thumb is also black. You got 3 different pieces here. The piping and stitching is also black as well. In between the thumb, in between everywhere. The interior lining is tricot, and you can see there's some like whitish material there, but that's just the way that the light catches it. Trust me, it is all black on the inside there. We come down to the wrist strap. It is all black as well, and it's a Sanabul Fight for It in a gray letteration going across the back of the wrist strap. When we open it up, we got our Velcro patches, which are all black as well. The entire strap is black, and then the interior says L/XL right there, as you can see there. And I want to say on the other side, that's going to say made in Pakistan. Yes, it does, right there. Made in Pakistan, and it says 3. Why it says 3, I don't know. Sanabul has weird numbers for all of these. I don't really know why they have that. But when it comes to the outer shell of this glove, just like, oh sorry, the build of the glove, the outer shell, just like every other glove that Sanabul has, they do not have any use of animal products, so there's no actual skin or hide of an animal on it, no cowhide, no buffalo hide, no whatever grain leather. This is all actual natural, not natural. Wow, I'm messing this up left and right, aren't I, folks? I'm sorry. This is all engineered leather. It's a very high-end engineered leather. This is some better engineered leather than, say, their Essential or their Core. This feels more like gritty and rugged, and it feels closer to the real thing than the other ones do, which is really nice. And it also has like the artificial grain marks going throughout the glove, and you can see those like grippy materials here will also stop the glove from ripping and tearing so much. And you actually have a really thick outside shell going on here. And the reason why you want a thick outside shell, it means that the more material that's on it, the more material for the needle to go through and catch, keeping all the stitching around the glove in a better spot, which is why you can see there's some wrinkles here on the side as well, more than others. That's usually what happens. It's just machine, it's probably machine stitched, but that's still the idea behind it. More material, the more that catches onto it, the stronger the bond is. So that's basically what you have there as far as the outer shell, and you have that throughout the entirety of the glove except for the interior lining, of course, which we'll get to in a second. When it comes to the padding, like every other Sanabul MMA sparring glove, virtually they have the DuraSoft padding, and basically what that is, it's an injected molded foam, or ringside foam as it's called. It's one solid piece of foam that is molded into one shape, and they inject it with a type of gel to mitigate any type of impact, basically to stop impact from really getting throughout the entirety of the glove. So it feels pretty good in that way. Now, I will say the padding compared to some other MMA sparring gloves by Sanabul is a little firmer, but it is definitely still a pretty soft padding. You can see just pushing a light amount actually creates a pretty big divot in it, and it snaps back pretty quick as well. So it's actually a pretty responsive foam, but you can hear the air kind of pop in and out of the glove as well. So it is a pretty responsive foam. It's a cradling style of foam that will cradle your knuckles. Now, unlike other MMA sparring gloves that Sanabul has, there's no bar on the back. It's just one solid piece, and it's kind of like some other fight gloves out there. And I think that's a cool thing if you like your fight glove feel. There is no padding at all on the back. It's just the engineered leather by the wrist, which is cool. So basically you're going to wrap your hands up pretty good around the wrist when it comes to these gloves. And then when you come down here to the thumb, you also have, like a lot of other the Sanabul gloves that are out there, you have 3 ridges there of EVA foam just to keep your thumb nice and padded. The piping is nice and sturdy on the outside as well. The finger loops are all really good, and they're also individualized but yet grouped at the same time. You can see that there's individual slits in between, allowing your finger to move by itself, but there's also a bar to make sure that your fingers don't slip out underneath, which is also good. The wrist strap is very long, which provides excellent wrist support, and it's not bulky at all. Similar to the other MMA sparring gloves that Sanabul has, in all honesty. It's not quite bulky at all, and you have that same Y strap that all the other sparring gloves have. I know some people do not like the Y strap because their hands can't fit in. I've seen people just cut that and work very well, but in this case, for my hands, this fits pretty good. When it comes to the interior lining, you actually have a tricot material, very similar to a combat sports MMA sparring glove, the Max Strike. the interior lining. If you've ever tried that glove, it feels exactly like that, but it is slightly more rugged than that. I will say that. It's not necessarily so rough on the hands to where it irritates you or the hand wraps that you have, but I wish it was maybe just a little bit softer. But tricot material in and of itself is a rougher material because of all the little holes that go throughout it. Now when we put this glove on, slides on pretty easily, and it actually makes a very nice fist. The one thing I don't like about it off the bat though, like a lot of other Sanabul MMA sparring gloves, although these do it a little bit more than others, my door knocking knuckles come out very easily, and sometimes, guys, it just happens in combat sports. Accidents happen. These knuckles might catch me here on the forehead, or when you're punching, or when you're trying to go and grab maybe a collar tie, or you're trying to grab something. These knuckles might catch me, cut me, you know, and basically getting hit with a bare knuckle. Now, obviously, probably that might do more damage to other people because these knuckles are very weak compared to the other ones, but still, that is always a risk that you want to try and avoid. So this glove does kind of creep down the hand a little bit more than others, but for me, it also allows me to get grips a lot easier because my fingers have a lot more dexterity since they are peeping out a little bit more compared to them being so tucked in here. So it's kind of that like double-edged sword that you have to go with, and making a natural fist is actually easier because of that with my fingers out that way. Now I wish the padding maybe curved over a little bit more, but at the end of the day, making a fist in these gloves is very natural and very comfortable. The wrist strap offers good wrist support because it's actually strapped over the back of my wrist, which also makes the bar on the back kind of not necessary. So the strap is a little bit wider than the other ones, and it straps up high. My wrist is right on that strap right here. The top of my wrist is right there. But I will say, I wish there was maybe some padding for a training glove that would stop my metacarpals and tarsals from popping outward, because that's how bones pop. They don't pop out like that. They pop up like this, or upward I should have said earlier, but they pop up like that. So when you use these gloves, maybe wrap your hands up a little bit tighter around the back of your hands, but honestly, the wrist support and knuckle padding of the glove is very good. I will say that very much. Now, the only thing though, is since the padding is a little bit more dense, you do have to break these in on the bags a little bit more. And I will say that I do prefer these more for like grappling or sparring compared to bag work. They are somewhat uncomfortable on the bag, and Sanabul does warn you about that on their website. They say use MMA sparring gloves for MMA sparring. Don't use them for bags because it'll irritate your fingers, irritate your hands. For me, it irritates my knuckles more than anything, which is kind of weird. Not in a painful way, but it just feels like it's rubbing against my knuckles and the wraps too much. And I like the feeling of like the Essential or even the Funk Strike MMA sparring gloves as far as like hitting the bags and pads more, because they don't irritate my hands as much. These though, as far as grappling goes, I have a lot of good dexterity and they're pretty flexible in that department. These gloves though don't break in quite as easy as the other gloves. They kind of break in at first and they kind of stay the same. They haven't really changed so much over time. But let's go ahead and go into the bag work and the sparring view, and then go into my final thoughts about these gloves. So hitting the bag with the Battleforged MMA sparring gloves, the first thing you're going to notice is that the padding is just a little bit stiffer and it doesn't give you as much feedback as the other gloves. It still protects your knuckles pretty good. The wrist support is virtually the same because it stays somewhat tight to your wrist, but it's not as good as honestly the cheaper gloves out there. I'm still able to whip my punch as fast as I can, really wail into the bag. They do a really good job of overall protection and grappling, but they still work pretty good. Alright, so when it comes to the look of these gloves, for one, they are solid black. You get really good gable grips. S grips work great. Working your basket grips a little bit, but when it comes to like butterfly grips or maybe getting overhooks, underhooks, going under the neck a little bit, it still works very well because the padding's virtually the same as the other gloves. It's really just a $20 difference for a bit of like stiffer padding and a little bit of better engineered leather. But at the end of the day, they are very basic looking gloves. That's why they call it a stripped down design, and that's basically what you got going on here. They're a solid black pair of gloves that have the Sanabul logo on it and the Sanabul lettering at the bottom. So overall, you can appreciate it because they'll stay clean and they look classic. Alright folks, so my final thoughts for the Sanabul Battleforged MMA sparring gloves. I've enjoyed using the second version of the glove that I got. When I got the first one, I really didn't like them. They were so uncomfortable. They creep back on my hands so much, and they just really weren't for me. So I gave them to someone else, and they really enjoyed them. I think it's because they had much smaller hands than I did. But these gloves are actually not bad compared to the first counterpart. But to be honest with you, after using these, I still, not to just ruin the whole review right off the bat, I would still honestly prefer the Sanabul Essential MMA sparring gloves over these, because for me, this is maybe a stiffer, rigid version of this glove in a lot of ways, and it costs about $20 more. And I think what you're paying for, honestly, is one big difference, and that is the outer shell. The vinyl is definitely a little bit different. I will say this about this glove, as starting with the positives, that the outer shell vinyl on this one is very similar to their Gold Strike MMA puffy sparring glove. It's very, very durable as far as that goes. In general, the outer shell is very, very durable, very stretchy, very resistant, but it also stretches the padding pretty tight, and the padding does not really soften up much more than what you get out of the box. Now, it took me maybe a couple sessions to really break in the gloves, but like I said, I like an MMA sparring glove that I can train in as well, and hitting the bags and pads with these just isn't as comfortable as the Essential or even the Funk Strike that really keep my fingers a little bit more in a nice comfortable spot. I love grappling in these, and sparring in these is definitely nice. The padding keeps my knuckles nice and protected regardless of what I do, but the one thing that I think, you know, I won't say they messed up with, because MMA fight gloves do this a lot, like the Everlast Power Locks, which are one of my favorite MMA fight gloves. I fought in these twice now. Don't have any type of bar on the back because they leave room for you to wrap your hands up. And there's definitely room to wrap your hands up in these gloves and wrap your wrist up good. But in a training glove, I just think having a bar on the back is never a bad idea. The wrist support is not bad with this glove at all, though, simply because you got that wrist strap that covers your wrist. But the one thing that's uncomfortable, and you might see it, is when I strap the glove down, put that on, you'll see when I make my fist, watch this part puff up, right? And so nothing is on my wrist at all. It's not stretched tight to my wrist. I'm able to really just dig right underneath that and pop that right out, which is not good, and I don't like that. I wish if I made a fist, a whole glove would come to me, but what it's doing is kind of making me feel like I have to open my hand a little bit to really get that slack on the back of my wrist. The other thing is my door-knocking knuckles come out a lot more with this glove than, say, the Essential and the Funk Strike as well. And at the end of the day, I do think these gloves might be slightly more durable, especially for the fact that they're just one solid color. No type of design is going to flake off or anything like that. The wrist strap, I think, is definitely a little bit better than the other ones. The Velcro is really strong and durable. It's a nice, durable glove. But for me, it's just a little bit stiffer. You know, it's a stiffer version of those other gloves, and it didn't really break in as well as I wish it did. If it became just a touch softer, I'd probably like the glove a little bit more. But the other drawback to it is that tri-cot material. For me, as far as comfort goes, I just wish, you know, tri-cot's not bad, but I just prefer smoother, like soft foamy materials, or even like a stretched nylon material that just dries out easily, that's nice and smooth on the back of my hand, that's not so rough and rugged on my hands or my wraps, because you will notice some burrs, meaning like the little frays in the stitching of your hand wraps when you use them on the back of this. With that said, the tri-cot does dry out very easily. The glove is super easy to maintain because of that. Obviously, you never want to just take your gloves and keep them in your bag when you come home. You want to take them out, let them air out, clean them. Very easy to clean anything by Sanabul because they're all usually a man-made vinyl, and all you do is just take a disinfecting wipe, wipe it down, wipe the other glove down, and you're good to go. So these gloves are very easy to maintain. They're very durable, and for 50 bucks about, which is what you're paying for, it's actually a really good pair of MMA sparring gloves, especially if you're going from the Essential to something else and you want to try something different. But I do say I like the Essential, the Core, and the Funk Strike much more than I do this glove. And at the end of the day, I would probably just make the jump to the Gold Strike over these, in my honest opinion. They're not a bad glove. I like the Muay Thai glove counterpart a lot more, to be honest. But if I were to give these gloves a rating out of 10, simply because I like the other ones more, I'd probably give these a solid 7 out of 10. They're durable. They're going to get the job done. They're safe for sparring. They're safe to grapple with, especially, and everything along those lines. They're very durable. They'll last you a long time. But for me, they're just a little bit too rugged, if that makes any sense. I know that's kind of the theme of the Battleforged thing going on here, but they're a little bit too rugged. I don't like the rough material on the back of my hand or my hand wraps. I can definitely feel it rub my hands. And granted, I do have some sensory issues, but still, I don't like that my door-knocking knuckles stick out so much. That can cause cuts, scrapes, and all those other things to my partners, as well as some other things going on there. And then on top of it, I just wish the glove softened up a little bit. The padding is very good for knuckle support. And I also wish that the materials on the back here you know, maybe just stayed tight to my wrist. That way it offered good wrist support. But I do like that the wrist strap is nice and strong. It's a little bit wider, I'd say, if not about the same width of the Essential. But in my honest opinion, I think that this glove was more of like a project. I would say that it does a good job. I have 2 teammates that use these and they really like them, but I also had the same 2 teammates switch from these to the Core series, and they said that they like the Core series a lot better than these as well for the same reasons. So it's not just me saying that, it's my own teammates that I see in the gym every day of my life. So with that said, I think they are a safe glove to go with if you're trying them out. If you like the look of them and you want to try something different, I definitely recommend you get them. I'm not going to say don't get them. I just think the Essentials or the Core series or even the Funk Strikes are just more comfortable. But I would honestly still probably get these over the Funk Strikes because they are easier to clean and maintain, in my opinion. But with that said, like I said, 7 out of 10. I think it's a very fair rating for a $50 glove. I also think there are better options out there. I would rather get the Combat Sport Max Strikes, or I'd rather get the Fairtex FGV 18s or FGV, what are the other one? 15s? Is that what I'm thinking about? The regular ones? I gotta look into the numbers again. Or you know, there's the Rev Gear MMA sparring gloves. I even like the Engage E-Series slightly more than these, though these are much more durable than the E-Series, I will say that much. But at the end of the day, $50 for a solid pair of gloves, you're not going to miss out on much. With that said, everybody, thank you so much for watching this review. I hope it was helpful. As always, comment below. Let me know if I missed anything or if you have any thoughts or questions. And we're already at 8.75 thousand subscribers. It's absolutely nutty to me. Thank you all so much for doing that. So as always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It's a couple little pokes of your finger on your phone or clicks on your mouse with your computer, but it goes a long way to help the channel, and I couldn't do any of this without you. Also, message and follow me on all my social media pages, and as always, comment below what you want to see me review next. Like that, with that said, sorry, I'm stuttering a lot today, must be. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching your source of combat sports, The Combat Corporation. I've been your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and as always, I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.